What's good, people? We're back. We are back in the house, back with another show. We're going to talk football. We're going to talk Premier League football this weekend. As it starts to slow down towards what has been a manic season, it starts to speed back up again because every single day there's pretty much football. This is the time that everyone loves to get involved with football around April, May time, and we're here. We're now in May. There's only 3 games left for some. There's only a couple for others, and it's going to be very, very tasty. Can Burnley pull off a madness? Can Luton pull off a madness, or rather 3 going down that we suspect at the moment? It could be very, very close, in my opinion. So we're going to get down dirty to that. Has money ruined football is the question we're going to ask, because there's a lot of people that are talking about money and how football was better before Man City and Roman Abramovich days. So I'd love to get the guys' thoughts on that one. And we should be having Natalie join us on very, very soon indeed. I'm going to start with that question. Money. We need it in football. Let's be real. Everybody wants to spend it. Everyone wants to go and spend it on players and get right to the top. But it does seem rather silly. And it was mad, really, because I was talking the other day to a friend of mine who's done podcasting for a while. And it was basically the startup of his channel years ago. And he just said, we never talk like we do now. We need £100 million for a striker. We need £100 million for this. Most people's squads used to cost £100 million back in 2000s when money was crazy then. Now you just need it for one player. It's absolutely mad. And it does ask the question, because for me, I enjoyed football in the 90s, the 80s and the 2000s, absolutely. But I probably enjoyed it for different reasons than you guys, because we were successful winning everything. And since the money has come in, such as Man City and Roman Abramovich, etc., Chelsea, Arsenal haven't been as successful. So people will think that it's the reason that I'm saying I haven't enjoyed it as much is because of that. But actually, it's a good question to ask you guys, because you've been up and down, up and down. Big up, Natalie. Big up and down, up and down. And I feel like it's a good question to ask you guys, because every single time I open a news article, it's talking about points deductions, FFP, PSR, luxury tax. It's kind of got a bit crazy now. Everyone's a billionaire owner. Even the owners of Nottingham Forest, for example, Dave, this geezer's got lots of money. You've gone and revamped the whole of your squad even a couple of years ago. And it just seems now that football's completely changed. And a lot of people would think that money makes the game better, but has it made it a lot worse is my question. I'll start with you, Dave, because, you've got a lot of passion about your chairman and the way things are going at the moment at Forest. And I wanted to ask you first, man. So I'll let you have the mic.
It feels, Dan, as if the money and the concentration of it in little pockets here and there has dragged the actual game of football away from what has always, certainly in this country, has always been the bedrock, which is the ordinary supporter, the ordinary people. You go back to when I was a kid in the 60s and 70s, and the manager of Stoke City, Tony Waddington, back in those days, he termed football as the working man's ballet. People who couldn't afford to go to Covent Garden or the whatever, they could go and watch, I don't know, Derby County, Nottingham Forest, Stoke City, Burnley, Arsenal, you name it. And that was their day at the opera or the ballet. And everybody felt like they had a sort of a stake in it. But it seems now that those people, that bedrock, is being eroded now. And it just seems as if the platform upon which it was built, it's moving away from that now, and it's quite sad. I know we've had lots of discussions in and around our club recently about ticket prices going up, and a lot of people who've been incredibly loyal supporters for many, many years, couple it with a cost of living crisis and how much more difficult it is these days to pay for what we used to, we've always seen as the essentials of life. A lot of those supporters are now feeling like they can't go, and I think it's incredibly sad. And so I do feel it's going away from its core congregation, if you like. I also feel the other sad thing is that we seem to talk more and more now, sadly, about what happens in offices, in boardrooms, in TV studios and things like that. I want to talk about the movement of a ball around a beautiful piece of green grass by 2 sets of 11 lads or 11 ladies, whatever, rather than all this other stuff. I don't want to talk about business. I don't want to talk about money here and money there. I want to talk about, human beings, elite athletes giving of their all, showing us skill, showing us technique, taking our breath away with, amazing feats, rather than, paperwork and bureaucracy and all this kind of stuff. So I do feel that it hasn't. It's done good in football. It's not a black and white. It's all bad. It's all good. But I think the worst thing is, Dan, it's the fact that it's becoming less and less of an even playing field, if you like. I mean, you think about Leicester winning the league. We won the league, having been promoted third from the second division, as it was in those days. Wimbledon winning the FA Cup, Coventry winning the FA Cup in '87. Those things will probably never ever happen again. And it seems to me that the saddest thing, it seems to me, and the most boring thing, the most tedious thing, is it seems like the success settles around a smaller and smaller pool as with each day and each year and each season that passes. So now I love the game. I will always love the game. It's so much certainly a part of my family. It's part of my lifeblood. But there are days when you kind of think, can we not just talk about a header or a shot or a goal or a tackle, rather than a pound note or a spreadsheet or a stadium, all this kind of stuff. So I'm kind of torn. I do think it has done good things. It's made stadiums are better. The infrastructure, the clubs is in many regards is better. The fan experience, if you can afford it, is better. But I think a lot of the soul has gone. It's to sum it up, it's far less charming than it used to be, Dan. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, a lot of people are with you. A lot of people believe it's harder to watch now. It's not as fun to watch, and it looks as if it's at the moment anyway. Manchester City are absolutely able to just go and spend. Chelsea go and spend. Arsenal, Man United go and spend, and teams like yourselves are sitting there thinking, "How the hell do we catch up with that?" Then, like, it's ridiculous. You're not going to get the moments like Leicester winning the league, Blackburn winning the league, Coventry. You mentioned as well. But I'll open the panel. I mean, I don't want to spend too long on this, but I'll let anybody come in on their thoughts on it, because I do think that the Roman Abramovich era, and obviously Sheikh Mansour now coming in with Man City, we're looking at the Chelsea and Newcastle situation now. Does it seem to you guys that that's the way forward if you want to be successful?
Can I just correct you as a bit of point of history there, that you've got your facts slightly correct, Dan? Blackburn have never won the league. Never happened. So I don't want that put in.
Jack Walker.
Hasn't it always been about money in our time? We had. I think football's always been about money. Those who have done well in the past. I love looking back. I do. I look at Nottingham Forest. They signed the first £1 million player, didn't they? And in them days, we were going, "Wow, we spent £1 million on who would do that?" Luton only spent over £1 million this season. So it's always been about the money. And I think when you look at it that way, and you look at successful clubs of the eras when I was growing up, Manchester United, your Liverpools, your Arsenals were winning, and they had the biggest crowds, they had the most sponsorship, they had the most money, and they stayed up there. So it's always been about that, not to the degree that we're in now. The degrees that they, like you said, Dan, you people go, we have to spend £100 million on a player. For me, I look at that and go, well, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I think
Burnley for that.
That's the point, isn't it? It's always been about the stronger teams are those that the bigger support, the biggest backing. The Manchester United were worldwide, even back then when they were winning the European Cup, whatever year that was. And it's always been that way. But we've had those points where the smaller clubs still felt they could compete. And we had your Sunderland winning the FA Cup, and you had your surprises and things like that. But I agree with Dave; it's gone a bit too far.
But back in the day, we talk about Blackburn and Leicester, those dream things of those teams winning the league. Blackburn were the first ones to buy the league, and I appreciate this is difficult for me to say given they're our arch rivals, but Jack Walker bought the league that year. They spent ridiculous amount of money, and that they were the first ones where people started to say the Premier League's been turned into big money, and people are now just buying the league. So I think Leicester's a different kettle of fish, although I would look at the finances of Burnley, Luton, Forest, things like that, and think, well, Leicester have a hell of a lot more money than we do, and always have had. But you're right, Dave. You're absolutely right. Back in once the Premier League properly started, it's always been about money.
Yeah, I mean, it is It is, to be fair, but I think now it's just got crazy, and I wonder how far it's going to go. I mean, I'll bring you in, Sam. Like, you know, you look now and you feel. I remember when Trevor Francis, Gaza, Shearer, all these players went for 1 million, and then Shearer went for 15 million, and I thought 15 million, you wouldn't even get like half decent goalkeeper for that now. You know, it's actually gone mad. So are we actually going to get to a stage where it's going to be like, if you would like this world-class player, you are going to have to part with 1.5 billion just to actually get the player? Like, where does it stop, Sam? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's mad.
It's just a real vast gap between the fans, you know, people who live in the real world, and you know, for players to be going for 100 million, and you know, the government can't even afford to pay a nurse like 30 grand for a year, that kind of
Absolutely.
thing. I think it all depends what you mean when you say ruining the sport. Is it competitiveness? Is it fans getting a raw deal? I think it's probably both, really. And honestly, there are so many sort of contradictions within the game. We were only chatting on the show recently about the scrapping of FA Cup replays and stuff because they don't need it. And then all of a sudden they're talking about a 39th game in the USA. Like, what's that all about? It's because of money. It's just, you know, it's just an absolute joke. I think there needs to be, you know, more of a spending cap, and they're saying that they're going to introduce that, but then will it mean that we'll lose players to other leagues because of that? I don't particularly know. I think part of the reason why VAR was brought in, because you know, each and every position in the Premier League is worth £2 to £3 million. Teams that get promoted from the Championship, you know, to the Premier League, it's a huge amount of money to them. If they get relegated, you know, obviously, yes, they get the parachute payments, but you know, there's a fine line between like 17th and 18th in the Premier League. Like, some teams will not recover from that, and VAR was brought in to try to settle the arguments, but it absolutely doesn't. I don't know. It's helped Bournemouth get up the leagues, you know, having money, because, you know, we to an extent bought success because we had a fine of £7.8 million that got reduced to £5 million for for FFP for breaking it back in 2014-15. So, you know, we're as guilty as anyone. I think we're like a well-run club now, and arguably without that input, we wouldn't be in the Premier League now. So it certainly gives you a chance. But I do agree, like, in terms of, you know, there's money that's put in through, you know, like the oligarchs, there's state sponsorship, there's all this kind of stuff. And there's also the TV companies that are putting in vast fortunes as well. And the ones that, you know, only benefit from that are the TV companies and the broadcasters, because fans are waking up. You know, I'm waking up at 2 a.m. to travel to Burnley for a midday kickoff down in Bournemouth. It's like, how is that fair? I'm for it and I'm not for it at the same time. It is a really difficult one.
Yeah, big time, man. Listen, Emilio and Rich, I'm going to bring you both in. CBEE has said that the amount of money in the sport now means a cap won't happen. I'd rather the players get it than the owners bank it and take dividends anyway. What do you make of the, Emilio, I'll start with you. What do you make of the rumour of wage caps and player caps, getting money caps? Do you think that is needed? Do you think that will work? Do you think that is the only way that they can make it a lot more fairer? Because I must say, I'm hearing lots and lots of change, and I'm for change, don't get me wrong, if it's for the better. But when I'm hearing the FA Cup replays being scrapped and then the 39th game, that sounds madness. The European Super League was a madness, but now they're not doing that anymore, but they're going to change the format of the Champions League to the format of the European Super League, which sounds a madness to me. And then, of course, we've got another couple of opportunities that they're going to be playing around with. And then wage caps has come in. Now, for me, the FFP and the PSR thing, that's going to benefit Manchester City even more, because everybody's trying to catch up with them. But actually, when you look at it, like, they've got their team. Man City have got their team, their squad. We're all trying to catch up with them. And now it's made harder for them to get any better, but for anyone else to get any better. So, I don't know, man. I feel like the wage cap thing is just not going to make any difference, in my opinion, Emilio. But what's your thoughts, bro?
No, and I think Dave said the thing, Dave Luton, saying about, you know, money talks, right? Money's always been there. And as individuals, are we loyal to our clubs? Fans are loyal to their clubs through thick and thin. You know, I've supported Fulham for, God knows, over 40 years. And I was there at Torquay United when we played. We were 91st in the league against them. They were 92nd and we bloody lost. They're playing more, which is why Torquay United are my second team. And, you know, they've gone into administration recently. So if I had a few million myself, I'd go and buy Torquay United and try to bring them back up the divisions and try to bring them back to where they belong. You know, I went to Wembley a few years ago when they got promoted from the 5th into the 4th tier. So, you know, that's what grassroots football is about. But it's all about player power now. We got one of some of our players. Why do all players don't want to stay at Fulham? You know, come at the end of the contract, they think they're better than they actually are. They want to hold out for a better contract. Do they want to play for Man City? No, they want to go to Man City and get 6 figures salaries. So money talks. There's no loyalty in football, whether you're a player, whether you're an owner. At the end of the day, it's a business, and it's ruthless. Money does talk. Look at this incident with Salah and Jurgen Klopp. Everyone thought everything was like hunky-dory then. Suddenly they've had a bit of a spat on the touchline there. So again, who's right and who's wrong? We don't know the truth there, but is Mo Salah got a point? Do you think he's bigger than he actually is? No player is bigger than the club. And I've always said this, so as far as I'm concerned, players have got a bit too much leeway. They think they've got too much power. Money does talk. And if you don't like where you are, you know where you need to go. I've always been very blunt. I don't want players who don't want to play with pride and play for their club. But unfortunately, the bottom line is it's all about money. My job, my industry, same thing. If you need the money, you're going to move jobs. You're going to change a different company because you want to make more money. We're very greedy as a society at the moment. That's the bottom line. So if they put caps, it will be great. What will it mean for the Premier League? Not sure, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I've always said we're very blessed. The likes of Natalie, Sam, all of us here on the court to watch our clubs play probably the most elite league in the world. Aside from the NFL, I'll probably say, no, we get the privilege. We're in the Premier League to see these big players, these clubs, week in, week out. We're fortunate in that respect, but the game is evolving. We've said it so many times on this show before. I can see it. I think you've mentioned it, Dave. Some of the away games won't be Liverpool-Fulham. It'll be Liverpool versus Fulham in New York or in Washington or in bloody Riyadh. That's going to be the next level. It's not going to be the
EFL's going to go that way, I think.
Yeah, it's all going to change.
I don't feel particularly blessed being in the Premier League this season, Amelia. I'm just going to throw that out there. We're blessed to play in the league.
Right? You're still in with the shout. That's the main thing.
You might be, yeah.
Well, yeah. We won't be. Tomorrow they'll get the announcement that Forest's appeal has been won and they're going to get a point back and then it'll all be over and it'll be fine. And then they'll beat Sheffield United. We'll get hammered off Newcastle and this very excitable Great Escape on is going to be. It's an interesting point you made there, Amelia. I think there's a lot of talk at the moment. The Americans are investing in the trying to negotiate TV deals for the EFL. And I definitely see how this is going. I think the Saudi money will take over the Premier League. The big teams will go into the Super League, whatever form that takes at some point. And I think the EFL, I think there is a desire among the football leagues, football fans, the fans who turn up with their season tickets and enjoy live football. The dream for them is still the EFL because the Premier League has become an awful place to watch your football as a live supporter. We're bottom of the pecking order. It's not a live sport. It's a technically perfect televised sport for a global TV audience. Premier League is not the same as the EFL. So I think you see what the Americans are buying into. The Americans don't want the American football. They don't want their own teams to play. They want English football, which is why things like Welcome to Wrexham have become so popular. And we've got American owners, and I think they're buying into that. They're buying into what grassroots football is, and I think the championship playoff at some point will be played in a Super Bowl.
Will do.
In the next 5 years, I'm sure of it.
Look at the domestic leagues in Italy, Spain. They're playing their Super Cups in Saudi Arabia, other parts of the world. Again, it's a brand. At the end of the day, the Super, Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, they're all brands. At the end of the day, a brand is something that's marketable globally. And even at Fulham, let's look from my club's perspective. How many tourists, I've used that loosely, sit amongst the home fans because those seats are available. Fulham doesn't want me and my loyal supporters turning up week in, week out. They want the tourists to come in a couple times a season, pay double the price I pay for my season ticket.
Buy lots of merch.
Then they go and buy merchandise. They don't care about me. They want new fans and new one-off support. And
then they stream it on TikTok and everybody likes it. And then they want to go. And then,
Haven't Fulham just put a swimming pool in their stand?
Yeah.
No.
It's crazy.
Because of the main stand.
So, they are.
We just put toilets in ours.
That just shows you where they're going with their business model. Their business model is to attract those people that go to London that want to see a Premier League game. And why don't you come and stay here and have this experience and have this swimming? I'm thinking, really?
No,
look it up, Natalie. It looks amazing, by the way, but it's not something I'd go for.
I'm just happy if my thighs warm at half time. That's all I care about.
Tottenham have put a bloody Formula One track under theirs. They got Beyonce and Jay-Z singing in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I mean. It's all a madness. It really is absolutely mad.
We've got Sleaford mods.
But there was one time in this country where we didn't have a McDonald's, but it was an American idea. It came over and now it's everywhere. And the same is going to happen. The same is going to happen. You're going to have your halftime entertainment, and before too long, we'll be playing in quarters at this rate. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's being driven by that. It is being driven by that audience and money and agents as well. Agents have a lot to say and a lot to play in this whole game as well. You know,
I came on this show tonight. It's just cheered me right up.
Well, no, I was going to say we need to move on really and be more positive, don't we? I know. I do want to move. Rich, is there anything you want to add, mate?
First, thanks for having me on again. Sorry I'm late working that. And the Premier League don't care about many of our clubs. I'm sorry. Like the FA Cup replay getting taken away is only to benefit the big teams. Sorry, Dan, I know you're an Arsenal fan, but I know you're one of the realists out here. Do you understand and understand the logistics of what they're trying to do? That now that there's no FA Cup replays, that's probably going to pave the way for that 39th game in wherever New York or wherever it may be. The Super League is an issue in itself, and I guarantee you, both Chelsea and Manchester City, because of the amount of money that these clubs will bring into the Premier League, being Premier League sides, they will get away with all the FFP charges that they've had.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It really is mad.
Do you know what, Dan? Do you know what, mate? I'm just sitting here thinking, and I'm probably by quite some margin the oldest person on this panel. And it seems I'm thinking of, like, and I don't mean to be off to Emilio, I'm thinking of Jimmy Hill and what he achieved back in the 60s, right? So maybe Fulham are to blame for all this. That was the germ, that was the seed that was planted. But I think the problem is, what's happened is, you know, in many ways, it's far better now than it was. You know, you talk about player power, but back in the day, if you go sort of back to Stan Matthews, Tom Finney, Dixie Deans, all those true greats of our game, it was essentially serfdom. They were like, they had to do as they were told. They were great players doing amazing things, you know, but they were essentially, they were like, you know, doffing the cap and tugging the forelock to the club owners. So what Jimmy Hill did in the 60s, you know, was good for players. I just don't think we've yet found the balance between owner power as it was back in the day and player power now. And it's just, I think Emilio did use the key word when he said it's branding, and it's almost like they're telling us, they're treating us as if we don't know what we're watching. Like, this is good because this has got a brand, you know what I mean? And it's like, hang on, I'll make my own mind up, really. It was an interesting point you raised about McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. Maybe there's me saying there's no charm in the game anymore, but it seems like those two have kind of bought into that. And if what Natalie said, if what Natalie says about, you know, the Americans being desperate to see, you know, maybe a Leeds United Southampton Championship playoff final at Wembley, maybe there is more charm there than I think. I think as we've all gone round it, all seven of us, and I don't think there's a hard, fast, definitive answer to any of it.
No,
interesting. Listen, Natalie, I know you don't have long because I know you've got your show to do. So I'm going to start with you, man. Burnley, can you pull off a madness is the question. Now, I know you kind of poo-pooed it earlier, but Vincent Kompany deserves a lot of credit, you know, because I've given him a lot of stick this season. I looked at him and I thought, I'm not sure that you've done the right thing here. But out of nowhere, Burnley now have a chance, and I had give you no chance whatsoever. So apologies for that, Burnley fans. But could the miracle happen, Natalie? Could the miracle happen?
It could, and I don't think it will. So I caveat by this before people start coming at me. I know that there's a chance. The most likely scenario is that Burnley go down. Of course, it is. We're not out of the relegation zone at the moment. It is in our own hands for the first time since December, but you know, there's still other permutations. Forest may very well win their appeal and get some points back, in which case it's all over. The way I feel at the moment is that it's been the most god-awful season. It's been a thoroughly miserable season. We've got 3 games left with literally nothing else to do. So why not get excited about a possible Great Escape? Why not? If you can't do that, then you're in the wrong sport. And we've talked tonight about the soul being ripped out of football and missing these things. So if you can't re-find that love affair where you can just dream the impossible, then it is game over. So I'm all in for a Great Escape for 3 games. Why not? There's nothing else to do. Am I giving Vincent Kompany credit? I think you're being generous there, Dan. I am hugely frustrated with this season. I think that's just the one word that sums it all up. He should never have taken until 9 games ago to learn his lessons and to make the changes that we've been crying out for all season. He has been stubborn. He has been bloody-minded. He has been, if I may say, slightly ego-driven. And I think ultimately he's been managing his career and not the team. I called for him to go in January. Once we didn't sack him in January, there's no point now. We might as well keep him next year. I've got to say, though, if he decides to leave in the summer and go to Brighton or whoever else wants him, then I will be fuming, because we gave him a free shot at learning how to be a Premier League manager this season. He was told, get no points and you've still got a job next season. Our chairman came out and said he's got the safest job in the 92. Okay, fine. Well, that's not much of an incentive to do well in your job, but okay. And he has to repay that loyalty by getting us out of the Championship next season. But that said, some of the things I've been shouting for this season are effort from the team. Go down with a fight, at least go down with some pride on your badge. We've suddenly got that. I asked for the keeper to be changed and for Josh Cullen to come back in. He's done that. And I asked for a determination to at least try and be consistent with your team selection, which is also done. So tick, tick, tick. Yeah, absolutely. Do
you need another goalkeeper though, Nats? Because this one don't look so great either, if I'm honest.
Muric is great. Okay, listen. Both of them have got the ability to pick the ball up and inexplicably throw it in the back of the net. Why not? Because the one thing that we need this season is to concede more goals, because we're not conceding enough. The difference, Trafford is going to be an exceptional keeper. I think he will take the England #1 jersey at some point in his career. He is 19 years of age. Last season played in League One, and then he got signed by Burnley in the summer, and then his next league game was against Manchester City in the Premier League at Turf Moor. And everybody in the world, apart from Vincent Kompany, seemed to realise that was a terrible idea. But Vincent Kompany said, no, we're going to stick with him. After 5 games, he was so obviously out of his depth this season. And at some point, you've got to look at it and go, what damage are you doing to this kid now in terms, loyalty becomes damage, not the other way around. Muric does also have the blow up in him, as we've seen against Brighton, we saw against Everton. But he is so much more confident at playing out from the back. He is pure Hollywood. He nutmegs forwards in his own box for fun. But the most critical thing is he has the ability to make a pass that he has no business as a goalkeeper making. He can make better passes than some central midfielders can. What that has enabled us to do is take the pressure off our terrible back four and actually create the chances that we've been trying to do all season, because Vincent Kompany doesn't defend. He's Pep too. He doesn't defend. He thinks our defence is attack. But the goalkeeper didn't have the ability to pass the ball out to get that high press going, and Cullen was missing from midfield to be that link up. So even though he's got that blow up in him, we're a much better side with Muric in it.
You got Newcastle, Spurs, and Forest. Do you have to win them all to stay up?
No. We just have to. We have to go into the last game of the season less than 3 points behind Forest. So it doesn't matter if we lose both of those games, but Forest lose Chelsea and Sheffield United. Doesn't matter. We go into the final game. Points deductions caveated to that. We go into the last game of the season at Turf Moor, 2 points behind them, win, and we stay up. They go down. So no, we don't have to. We have to match or better all of Forest's next 2 results, and then it's a cup final on the last game of the season.
Does anyone give Burnley a chance staying up here, or do you think that it might be too much of an ask?
Dave, you're not allowed to answer that. You're biased.
you know what was crazy?
They have momentum.
I was calling about 2 months ago. I said, watch out for Burnley. But then I didn't realise what their last couple of games were. But I 100% agree. It was just way too late. way too late. It seems like they've got it right now,
wasted
but at
chance.
the wrong time.
Wasted chance this season.
But I did want to ask you, Natalie, regarding Josh Brownhill, because he's out of contract in the summer, and we've actually been linked with him.
He's staying.
Like,
he's staying. He's staying.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Because I mean, we've got Adam Wharton from your. We took Adam Wharton from your rivals, which he's been unbelievable. By the way.
He's an. I'm so glad you did that. I'm so glad, because he caused us problems last season. He was the only player that they've got, and I do like to see them. I mean, they're in a terrible position anyway.
He looks really good, man. Really good.
He's so good. He was way too good for the Championship last year, but he was playing in a terrible side. And it doesn't surprise me. You got him for a steal as well, Rich. Oh my God, an absolute steal. But yeah, Brownhill's no, he's staying. He wants to stay in Burnley. We've triggered it. There was an option for an extension at the end of the season, which we triggered. So yeah, he's staying. Interestingly, I think if we do stay up, I'd let him go. I don't think he's quite there in terms, and I don't think he's what company needs as a central midfielder. I think the one I'll be really gutted about if we do go down, Sander Berge. He's so good, and he will go. There's no way he's playing in the Championship next year. So I think if we're in the Championship, we probably end up back with Cullen and Brownhill in central midfield, which is great for the Championship. They'll run riot. But if we stay up, then Brownhill becomes very much a bench player and probably go in January, I would have thought.
It's interesting, man. Sam, you were kind of shaking your head a bit about Burnley. You don't see it happening?
I'd like to see it happen. I would like to see it happen. But I don't know. I think the remaining fixtures are always going to be pretty tricky. I think it all depends. And this is the sorry state we're in, that we're talking about a points, are they going to get it back situation with Nottingham Forest? And that's ultimately what could be determining the Premier League season, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, what incentive is there if there are going to be some points returned? I know, Dave probably feels like there should be. I don't know. Well, you've said that yourself by your expression. Who even knows? That's the thing. I don't know, really. I think the romantic in me would like Luton to stay up because we've been along the same journey. And if there was a club that I would like to see do it, then it would be Luton. And, Forest or Burnley, I don't really know. From what I've seen from Burnley so far, I think the first 75% of the season, like Natalie said, hasn't been great. And then all of a sudden, they're starting to look a team, and he's just learned his lessons way too late, it seems. And yeah, and I think it would almost be, I think that if they did go down, Burnley, I think they would go back up with company. But it's whether he takes on the. Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. If he stays, but it just depends if he, learns the lessons and actually, deploys what he's done in the last quarter of the season when they do get back up. And if they do get back up, maybe he'll be all right. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting run-in. But I don't know. Luton, I would like to see do it.
I would as well. Let's bring Luton and Forest in before Natalie does go off to her show. Let's start with you, Dave. Luton, Dave. Burnley, Luton, Forest. I'm not going to lie, bro. When I was speaking to you a few weeks ago, you were like, come on. And now it's like, it's not going to happen. You're defeated now, man. You're defeated now.
I feel it. Listen, we've only won once in 14 games. It's not been great. Since February, we've only won once, and it's been terrible. Not terrible football, but terrible results, terrible injuries. And tomorrow night's the big one for us, isn't it? If we don't get a result against Everton, then I think we can just give up. West Ham after that. It depends what West Ham turns up, and Fulham. Fulham got nothing really to play for apart from an extra couple of points. So I'm hoping that they're on the beach. I'm hoping that Everton, Sean Dyche puts his suit back on, so they play terrible. But I don't see it. I mean, tomorrow night is going to be the big one for us. If we get 3 points tomorrow, then I think, why can't we do it? If Nottingham, I think the points fiasco, really, the Nottingham Forest decision should have been made today. It should have been spent today. And part of me thinks they're just waiting to see what points are coming from where, and then they'll go, okay, you can have it back now, or you're not getting it back. So, yeah, listen, I've said this all season. I've loved the season because it's my first time in this division. So I've loved all going away every game and all that stuff. But we're at the end now. We've got a 3-game season, and I think we need to win 3 and not lose any. So that's how I think, or maybe at least win 2 and not lose the other one. So win both our home games, and then hope that Nottingham Forest don't get the points back, and Burnley and Nottingham Forest play out a draw at the end of the season, and I'll be happy. But I can't see it happening. I'd like to cling on for a bit longer.
West Ham and Fulham, Dave, innit? Everton, West Ham and
Yeah,
Fulham.
Everton Friday, West Ham next, and then Fulham at home. So,
you've got the nicest fixtures out of the three.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've beaten Everton twice, so they're going to be on it. They want to probably put that right, I would imagine.
They kind of feel like they're safe now, though, Dave. So it might
be good. Safe. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, they are safe. But I want them to be relaxed and super relaxed. And, Adebayo may start on Friday, so that will be a good thing because he looked a bit of a different class when he came on against Wolves at the weekend. Carlton Morris still on form, so he's, a double-figure goal scorer for us in the Premier League. It's not happened that often with us with the top divisions. But there are still injuries. We're still missing a couple of real key players. So I know that one's on his way back, probably be back for West Ham, but the others, they just got injured at the wrong time. Our form has dipped at the wrong time, and how's your luck? Everybody else's form is getting better towards the end of the season. And I think I did put in the group chat, to think weeks ago, we wrote Burnley off totally. And, there they are, and they're in with a shout. So I'm disappointed also that Everton found form at the wrong time in respect to this. They've now pushed themselves away from it. So it's one of three, isn't it? Or two of three that are going to go. And if we go down, I'll be disappointed because we've gone down, but I won't be disappointed because I think, it's been a great experience. We might come back up. We still have a chance, but after tomorrow, if I walk away from Kenilworth Road tomorrow night, and we haven't got any points, then I will be resigned to going down. That's how I look at it.
I kind of feel like as well, Dave, that the three that do go down, I don't think anybody will look and go, "Oh, that's harsh. Like that never should have happened." I kind of feel like none of them have really put on a fight to go, do you know what? They deserve it, and they don't. They should go down.
But, no one expected us to be any higher than bottom.
Exactly.
No one expected us to do as well as we've sort of done in our own minds. We've redeveloped the ground. We bought some players. We're having a great time. The media teams are doing a great job, and everything else is good about the club. It's just on field, we just haven't had the luck that we need to stay up. At the moment, we haven't played. Do you know what? Every team has a big shock result. I'm sure of that, and we haven't had that. We almost beat somebody, and then we lost 4-3. We were 3-0 up at Bournemouth, and then we lost 4-3. We were just one behind West Ham and don't get a penalty. That sort of thing happens, and so we haven't had that big result. We could have put Liverpool to bed, and we let them score in the 98th minute. Things like that. So your luck's got to change at some point. I'm hoping it's tomorrow night. I hope we can continue our good form against Everton and get 3 points. But I think if we don't, then it's going to be between Forest and Burnley, and it could be a very interesting last day, couldn't it? If we all go into it still with a shout, I'm sure I'll have one eye on my phone and one eye on the game.
I can't handle that game if it goes to that last game of the season. I do not want to deal with that. I'll be a mess.
Well,
I'll come and give you a cuddle.
Thanks. That'll be lovely. Thank you.
Luton have been in that position so many times where we've had to win or get a result on the last game and hope someone else does something. And it's a great feeling when it goes right. It's a great feeling when it goes, but when it goes wrong, terrible. So I'm, in an ideal world, you guys all lose at the weekend and we win, and then the following week you both lose again and we win, and then I'll be happier. But football's not like that, is it?
Want anything else, Dave? Anything else?
Actually, and to draw the last game. That's an ideal world. But let's be realistic. If Luton managed to survive, it will be a big thing for us. But be realistic, it's going to be a real big struggle if we don't win tomorrow.
The worry I've got is for you, Dave, is you hit it. There's always a club that sort of finds a way to get form at the right time. Luton, unfortunately, you've dipped at the wrong time. That's why, although Burnley's fixture is not easy, Turf Moor has typically been a fortress for Burnley. If I'm looking at your position, I think you could beat Newcastle. They're a bit inconsistent. I know they've got a good run of form recently, but it's a one-off game. It's a cup final for you at home. I fancy you getting at least a point then. And the Forest game, again, that can go either way. And I've said this to you, Dave, Forest fan. I said, Nuno, sorry, I'm not impressed. What's his points tally versus Steve Cooper? Points per game. Not being good enough. Sorry, I've said it. I said it from day one. I wasn't inspired by his signing fee. I remember telling you on this show, got a lot to prove. Yes, you beat us last month, but what's his points per game ratio since he came over compared to Cooper? Doesn't good enough, really. So, to be honest, there's a club I fancy. It's actually Burnley. I just think 2 home games with a bit of momentum. Your home form is reversed. Now you had a shocking home form. You've turned that around. It's more difficult to beat.
Oh, don't be teasing me with this hope.
I'm just saying you're in form, right? You're peaking at the right time. As Luton, as probably like Sam, independently, I'd like Luton to stay up because everyone expects them to go down, and small club like Fulham are clearly I want the smaller clubs to do well, but you've dipped at the wrong time. And Forest is sort of not doing enough, winning, drawing, should have scored, didn't score. I just think Nuno's been a poor signing for you. Sorry.
Yeah, listen up. Before I come to Dave on that, Natalie, I know you've got a shoot. So
Yeah,
what are you going for? What are you going for a prediction before you leave us, man? Burnley Newcastle.
Yeah, Burnley win. You've got to back your boys. I think you're absolutely right. I think we've got some momentum. We have something to play for. We've got something that we have to do. We have to try and match or better Forest results. They've got Sheffield United this weekend, so we've got to go for it. Newcastle inconsistent, don't have anything to play for. So yeah, I think we'll do it. I think it's going to be a 3-1 win to Burnley. I think we'll edge it 2-1, and they'll try and push for an equaliser, and we'll score a late third.
Listen, I hope that you do it. I hope that you do it for your sake. Natalie, you're a legend. Thanks so much for being here.
Everyone. Take care, Nat.
See you, Nat.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Love to Natalie. Make sure you go follow Natalie on No Name Never podcast, putting out amazing content for all Burnley content. So make sure you go follow her. Let's come to you, Dave, because I think Emilio has made a good point. Your chairman's brought in Nuno to take you forward. I don't know that he really has. And against Man City, bro, like I was sitting there thinking, I didn't watch the game because I was coming back from the North London derby, but how Chris Wood has not scored at least 1 goal. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, maybe he's a Man City fan or something. You know what I'm saying? And he wants them to win the league because that's the only explanation I can have. It was mad for me. But I mean, you have got, talking of easier fixtures. I think someone said that Luton have got easier fixtures. You've got Burnley and Sheffield United, and you've got Chelsea. Now, people will say that's easy, but actually, I mean, Sheffield United should be because they're done. But Burnley, like, are fighting for their lives. Chelsea, I'm sorry, flip a coin and it might land on something, but you don't know what you're going to get with them. They can either be a shambles like they were against us, or they can go and pick up a point against Villa. So you just don't know what you're going to get with Forest, though, either. You don't know what you're going to get with Forest. You really don't. And
no.
I was annoyed because Man City didn't even play that well against you, man. And like Chris Wood's missing chances here and there, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, mate, you look at Burnley, they've got the momentum. They didn't change their manager, which was our masterstroke last season. We didn't change our manager. Nuno and the fans, is there a rapport? I struggle to see it. I think it's almost like there's a guy over there, he runs it. We sort of, nobody sings his name. There was a bit of singing at Everton until Idrissa Gana Gueye scored, and then he just disappeared. And there's a bit of me feels, lads, that there's a morality thing going on, and we, it seems the country is split. Half of the country, mainly Forest fans, think there's a conspiracy, which I don't go along with, and I had lots of abuse about saying so last week from my own fans. I think the country regards us as self-pitying and whinging. And I think of the three, the one that if you put a poll out there now, said which of the three, this is to neutrals, which of the three do you want to see go down? I think people would pick Nottingham Forest as being the least popular of the three. Sorry about the motorbike. Barry Sheen's just gone up the high street. He's got who's that going with him? Oh, it's Steve Baker going with him. But a few transatlantic fans back in the 70s. The thing is with Forest, I don't know. If we play like we did against Everton, we'll go down. If we play like we did against City, there's every chance we stay up. Against City, I thought we were really, really good. We were a couple of finishes away from beating the best team on the planet. The world, European, English champions, right? And okay, they weren't great, but I think we outplayed them for large swathes of that game. And most people came out of the City ground thinking, okay, it was a defeat, but it was an honourable defeat. and there were positives to take forward from that game, which there hadn't been at Goodison Park. But the thing is, tables don't lie and statistics don't lie. And, you know, if we get a corner against us, I mean, we played really, really well until we get a corner against us. Nico's off the field and Gvardiol heads in at the near post. So I think if it goes to the last game, Burnley beat us at Turf Moor. I really do, because that home crowd at Turf Moor, we need to get the job done. Now, my view is, like Saturday, if we don't win on Saturday, then we deserve to go down, frankly, because in many regards, this is no disrespect to them, some great supporters of that club, but Sheffield United are one of the 3 or 4 worst teams that have ever been in the Premier League. Derby have been worse, Swindon were worse, I think Barnsley were worse, you know, but this Sheffield United team has pretty much, Chris Wilder himself said it last week, it's been overpowered. Now, if Forest can't go and beat Sheffield United, they deserve to go down. If we play at Bramall Lane anything like we did against City, we're in with a chance of winning. You know, there was some good things to come out of that. But remember, they have got relaxation on their side now. They know their fate, Sheffield United. And the truth of the matter is that Sheffield United have no love whatsoever for Nottingham Forest. Absolutely none. Every blade going in that ground, be it on the field or in the stands on Saturday, will be thinking, let's send Morgan Gibbs-White down. Let's set this lot down. It goes back to the miners' strike. We go there, right? When I've never been a miner. I mean, look at me, for goodness sake. You know, I'm more like one of the 7 dwarves than a miner. But we go there and we get called scabs and all this kind of stuff. And it goes on and it's part of the banter. But the Sheffield United would take huge pleasure. It would almost be their big consolation. Well, we went down abjectly, but we took Forest down with us, right? So I'm not underestimating Sheffield United at all. And with regard to the fixtures, Dan, so Sheffield United, there's a lot of, you know, Osborne, Brereton, Diaz, Robinson have all played for Forest in the past. Morgan played for Sheffield United. It's a game with, there was a lovely thing I saw, it was a contextual thing, you know, about our lads and their lads. And obviously we played in the playoffs a couple of years ago, so they'll want to get us back for that. You know, so that one, Chelsea, I'm taking Cole Palmer out for the day. Me and him we're going to Alton Towers, right? So I'm going down to London. Me and Cole have worked it out. I'm taking him to Alton Towers. I'm going to give up going that day. So me and Cole are going to ride Nemesis, Oblivion, the Smiler, while Forest and Chelsea play over here. Because if I take Cole Palmer away for the day, right, his Uncle Dave's taking Cole out. If I take Cole Palmer away, Forest might have a chance of winning, because that kid is dynamite. He is the difference. Chelsea with him and Chelsea without him, you know. Oh, yeah. I mean, it tells you how good City are, if you like, that they could give away a kid like that and still be in line for winning the title. So, and then the last day, if it goes to the last day of the season, you know, it's going to be really, really difficult.
It's going to be horrible for you. That is going to be. I will feel for you. I'll tell you that. I'll feel for you all. Yeah. If it goes to the last game of the season, you kind of want it just to be done, don't you? Just before it goes to that.
If you're a neutral, it's the game, right? Mm-hmm. And it just has this sense to me that it's leading to that literal end game. Do you know what I mean? But the points deductions, I mean, people talk about points deductions. I've sat here listening to everybody talk about points deductions, and I'm embarrassed. I wish it wasn't my club. You know, there've been reasons to be embarrassed. You know, I've had people saying, oh, you know, you've got to fight and defend your club. Well, am I not allowed to criticise it? Is it not a democracy? What is it? Is it some kind of just Trumpian, you know, dystopian thing where everybody has to think the same thing? Yes, it was a conspiracy theory. Yes, Atwell was trying to do us in. Yes, Anthony Taylor, this, that, and the other. My view is get and win some matches, stop whinging, right, and get and do your job. If you can't beat Sheffield United, then you deserve to go. You know, I mean, tomorrow night, you know, they had an amazing week. They beat us, they beat Liverpool, and I wanted them to beat Liverpool. I loved watching them beat Liverpool, right? And then they beat Brentford, right? You could almost say, well, Everton almost deserve a night off because they worked so hard in those 3 games. That Sunday we went there. If somebody said, which of these clubs is the one with the perceived injustices against it? You'd have thought Everton, because Everton played like they were angry. Forest played like they were on the beat. It was shocking, truly awful, right? So it's not done. It will go to the last day, and I just worry that the fact that we've sailed close to the wind with things, might just. I'm a bit. I suppose what I'm saying is I'm a bit of a believer in karma. I mean, people have said. I mean, Roy Keane said it last week, and Forest fans didn't like it, but he was right. I might not even be on this show if the Lewis O'Brien penalty at Wembley and the Harry Toffolo penalty at Wembley for Huddersfield had been given. And on that day, when all the Forest fans are moaning about VAR, and I got pelters for saying accept the decision to move on, because that's the way I was brought up. But I'm a different generation. It's the Goldbridge generation now, where the real problem in football, I think, lads, is an inability to accept a decision that goes against you. Right. If you look up in the if you look up in the Goldbridge dictionary definition of a bad decision, one that does not go my way. That's the way they all look at it. Seriously, you can have VAR. What, the decisions are too correct now, are they? It's a human being thing where, like, I want everything to go my way. No, you know what I mean. You know what's happened to me in the last 6 months, Dan. I've had serious decisions go against me, and I have to kind of hit the chin up and move on. So with Forest, he sometimes. I read a brilliant piece in The Guardian this week by Jonathan Wilson. It was about City bringing reality and Forest seeing conspiracies everywhere. It's not a good look, but do I think we'll stay up? I honestly don't know. Will Luton stay up? I honestly don't know. Will Burnley stay up? I honestly don't know. And maybe that's the one sort of redeeming feature of football in these next 3 weeks, that the fact that we truly do not know. If we lose Saturday, I think we're gone. I really do, and we'll deserve to go. If we can't beat a team as poor as that has admitted openly through its manager that it's just not been, up to it, and we lose to them, then serious business. So I really don't know, lads, to be honest. But
yeah, listen, there's a few weeks to go, man. There's a few weeks, which means there's enough football to be played. So absolutely going to be incredible. And the one thing I will say, this championship has been one of the best seasons I've seen in a long, long time. And the teams that are coming up, if they play, if it's exciting as it is, if they're coming up, then and I'm really pleased for Ipswich. I really hope Ipswich go up, mate.
Can I just say
all the credit in the world, Kieran McKenna?
Yeah,
honestly,
can I just say, mate? Oh yeah, he's a gentleman. He's so calm. I thought the Hull City Ipswich Town match last Saturday night was an absolute masterpiece. Both teams, Rossini was a credit, McKenna was a credit. The two teams are a credit. Like, one's trying to get up to pull off a miracle, and they find a way, and then the other's like thinking, no, we want to be in the playoffs. And I thought the pair of them. I thought it was it. I watched Derby. I went class. Derby Carlisle, Colchester Crew, Everton Brentford. And the pièce de résistance was the last one. It was a wonderful game of football. Great goals, great conduct. It was everything you want in a football match, that to me. And at Coventry as well. Man.
I thought it was class. I watched the Coventry Ipswich game, and I just thought it was phenomenal to watch Ipswich fight. I really do. So big up to them. And I pray for Joe that Leeds do go up in the playoffs. I really do, because I love Joe. So let's see what happens.
I do.
Listen.
I kind of want Somerville, so I don't really want them going
Don't be selfish, Rich.
My bad.
Listen, let's come to you, Stan, because you've got us at the weekend. I'll be there. And I must say, your boys, man. I mean, I dare to dream. Conference League could happen, mate. I know that we always talk about what could and couldn't happen, but the way you're playing, I don't think this is going to be easy. Of course, back my boys to beat you, but I'm not going to sit there now and tell you this is going to be an easy game. I've been very, 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 very impressed with Iraola and Bournemouth and the way that you're playing, and I think you can cause us some problems, bro. What do you think?
I think the coefficient thing means that it's Europe's unlikely. Our new owner, in our first season in the Premier League, he said after he took over, he said we won't get relegated, and it was after we played you last season where first 11 seconds brilliant, last 11 seconds awful. That game put us bottom of the league. And then a month later, sort of Gary Neal turned it around and stuff. And thankfully we weren't. And we were thinking, God, we're going to get, he's going to get memed up all over the place and put over social media for saying sweeping things like that. One of the other things he said is I want Bournemouth playing in Europe within 5 years. It could happen. Who knows? I think we have to retain the services of Iraola to do that. It's a really exciting brand of football. I think our ceiling's a lot higher than what it was previously under O'Neill. But yeah, mate, it's fun to watch. The only sort of downside for this weekend is injuries. Our squad's plagued with it. Semenyo's another one that got injured at the end of the last game, which was probably avoidable, really, and it looks quite serious. So he's not going to be involved probably for the rest of the season now. And he's really good. He's plays on the right side, really direct runner, and we'll miss him. But you know what? Iraola's instilled this kind of mentality within the side where we will give teams a game and it'll be competitive. So look, I don't expect we'll win either. I think we're going to lose. But what we will say is see as a really good and entertaining game of football. But sadly, I don't think one that will win. And look, Arsenal absolutely need it. There's nothing for us to play for, but our mentality suggests in recent games that we're still playing for something. We've beaten our best points record in the Premier League. Why not get over 50 now and see where we can go with it? So looking forward to a good game, but not wholly expecting the 3 points, I've got to say.
Well, listen, I hope you don't get it because we, as you say, need them more than you. And do you know what? It's mad. I said, Bournemouth and Fulham and Wolves, they're all on the beach. But actually, when you look at it, Bournemouth can try and dream, you know what I mean, and keep going for it. So it's not going to be an easy game, I must say. And this one, last season, that was just unreal ending. I mean, sickener for you, but just mind-blowing for us at the time of going for a title. And it just felt like results like that meant that it was written in the stars for us, and...
we're a small YouTube channel on Back of the Net, right? So I don't know, we got I can't remember how many subscribers we've got, but the Arsenal video, the vlog, absolutely banged on that, right? But and then a month later, we do what you did to us, but at Spurs, so scoring a last-minute goal to win 3-2. So of course, Spurs fans aren't going to tune into that. But if you want to gauge the size of clubs, this is so looking your arse, Dad. It is, but we do an away day review for each and every single one of the Premier League grounds. It's not about the football, it's about the experience. It's about, the beers on the concourse, the pies, the fans, how loud they are, the pre-match pub, all that kind of stuff. When Arsenal, our Arsenal video got 53,000, Spurs got 3,000. So just saying, our Arsenal a bigger club. I think we know the answer.
Of course we are, man.
You creepy bugger, Sam Davis.
Love that, Sam.
What you don't know, Sam, is that
he's popped his bet this week, isn't he?
Listen, you don't need to mention Tottenham at all, mate. It's just they are a shambles of a club. But there we go. No, big up to you, Sam. I think it'll be a good game of football. Two footballing sides, to be fair. That let's be real, I've been really impressed with Bournemouth. And again, Dave says about Nuno and should have kept hold of Cooper and all this kind of stuff. Then you did keep hold of Cooper last year. Kept hold of Iraola. A lot of people going, get rid of him. He looks terrible. Gary O'Neill was looking better than him. And now you think, absolutely the right thing to do. So fair play to you, man. And I wish you luck after this weekend for the rest of the following games of the season, my friend. So let's see what happens. Talking of playing football, Rich Glasner is doing just that, bro. Elise and Eze are back, and I can't help but think that perhaps if they were fit for most of the season, you might be in a very different place at Palace. But you got to be happy with that appointment, man. He's doing some bits, isn't he?
Dave, thank you for picking Nuno.
Here's what you could have won.
Oliver Glasner, my goodness me. Now, granted, I know Roy had a tough time. Alicia and Eze have only played 6 games together, well, maybe 7 now, all season. So his hands were tied behind his back. Against Luton, we lose Eze and Decore. And I think Decore, for me personally, was probably one of our biggest losses this season in the midfield, up until we got Wharton in January. But what Oliver Glasner's done has come in. Granted, it was a bit like, we couldn't get the job done because fitness was an issue in the first couple of games where we should have beaten Luton. We should have done better against Forest if Eze takes his chances, to get us into a position now where we're just going to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City. We're going to give Liverpool a game. Granted, we rolled on luck. They missed a lot of chances, but we had chances ourselves. What we've done since then to West Ham, granted, Emilio, you may disagree on it, but we should have beaten you by the chances we created in that game. And what we're doing, I think the Bournemouth game of all Glasner's games was probably the worst performance we've had under him, you know, but he has done a masterstroke. Caveat that, like I said, Alicia and Eze haven't played much together. Mark Gray has been injured. He's been playing Nathaniel Klein at right centre back. We had Jefferson Lerma at centre back. It's our clubs are mess as in regarding injuries, but what he's done, he's made those players believe we can beat anyone. Now, this is going to mean absolutely nothing if he doesn't get back in the summer. And this is almost going back to when Vieira had his great first season with us and had a terrible window and everything went to pot. You know, we're most likely going to lose one, if not both, Eze and Elise. So we have to invest well. But I'm just happy. I was worried we were going to get dragged into this relegation battle just because it just took too long to get rid of Roy. Granted, the circumstances in which Roy left wasn't the greatest. I'll put my hands up and say that. But if Glasner gets us playing like this next season, I know we're looking at a top 10 finish finally, fingers crossed. But that Conference League may not be too far out of reach as long as we get our recruitment right. And that's the key.
Listen, I think you spoke a lot of sense there, bro. I can't lie. You know, I know Conference League people are saying, "Oh, everyone can get it," and that's the kind of dream now, is that everybody wants to try and get into Europe. I must say, like, I look at Palace, and I've never looked at your side, your first 11, and thought, "God, that's awful. How the hell's that going? That's going nowhere near but the relegation zone." I think Elise and Eze are ballers, mate. Absolute ballers. I mean, if this guy's getting goals out the lamppost up front now, old Mateta, he's now scoring goals. You know what I mean? Jeffrey Slupp. You got obviously at the back. You've always been pretty defensively good. Maybe your right back. I can't remember the name of the guy that you signed at right back. What's his name?
Munoz.
You've got him now, and you've got Anderson and Gehi, who I think is a great partnership. Mitchell, I think, is a very underrated player, very consistently good player. I like him a lot. So really, let's be real. Like, there's no reason why you haven't got a chance there of actually putting a run together with a manager that knows what he's doing. And I think a couple of signings. I'm a big fan of Van Wharton. I think he's a good player. I think Decore and Lerma together, that's really impressive in terms of defensive midfielders. Got injuries, man. And when you get injuries, you've not got the strength and depth. But when you've got your first 11, you've got, 12, 13 players. When they all stay fit, you're sorted. And fair play to you, man. I've been very impressed with him. And, you know, Palace are a team that...
Yeah, Dan, can I just come in? I think maybe the big signing has been Rich to replace Dion here, because ever since Rich has come on, right? I love D dearly. He's one of my favourite sons. I love D. But ever since Rich has come on here, Palace have gone to another level. And I'm telling you, I have to mention it because I try not to swear that often. And I'm a relatively intelligent, literate sort of guy. But when I saw that Schlupp goal at Fulham, all I could think of was...
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, right? I'll tell you this. Because Luton Dave, like, D will be absolutely praying with all your might that you beat West Ham, right? And I'll tell you why. Because if Palace win their 3 games and West Ham lose their 3, then D might not have to wear a West Ham shirt and eat a hot chip, because that's the bet that's done, right? Because Palace and West Ham, D and Lawless have got a bet going on there. Whoever finishes the lowest has to wear the opposition's shirt and and eat a chili, right? So West Ham have got Man City, Chelsea, and Luton as their last 3 games. Crystal Palace have got Man United, Fulham, and Villa. No, not Fulham. Was it?
No, Fulham.
Wolves. Sorry. Yeah. So Palace at the moment, the way they're playing, I'd fancy them against Man United at the weekend, because Man United.
I will be disappointed if we don't beat them Monday.
100%, Rich. So now it's on Luton Dave, and D's going to be on your case. Beat West Ham. Beat West Ham.
Sorry, Dan. When did D make this bet with Lawless, by the way?
Oh, a long time ago.
Every week.
Was this with Roy in charge?
Yeah, this was like near the start of the season, man. You know what D's like? Yeah, man. You know what he's like.
I'll be there, by the way. My tickets have just arrived.
This is what he's like, man. This is
when that happens, I need to make sure I'm watching that because he deserves to suffer for that decision. What is wrong with him?
But this is what D does, man. This is what D does. D is now my bad books. He's actually trying to be my enemy, man, because he's actually like teamed up with Deji, man. The Deji and D on this show have got some like little bromance going on. It's mad. Like there's like proper Tottenham fan D is now as well. I tell you, I'm not happy with him at all. But anyway.
It's like me and Dave.
That's the way. That's a better bromance, though. I'll tell you that now.
That's an old bromance.
Oh, bromance. Listen, Emilio, let's come to you. You've got Brentford, Man City. Please, mate. Please, I beg you. Then you've got Luton, last game of the season. I mean, a lot of people I'm speaking to are saying that Fulham are going to be this team that Manchester City might have come unstuck against. I just pray with all my might and my heart that I don't care who takes points off of them. But I've always had that Fulham game like bookmarked in my memory because of what you did to us. And because I then said it and I was like, Liverpool, I reckon Fulham are going to do it. And then Liverpool went and bloody won. And I thought, oh, now I'm mudded. I'm clinging on, man. You're my only hope against Man City. Please, I beg you.
It depends what Fulham turns up. I think this is the whole thing. You know, we can if we can sort out that consistency, then we should be knocking on the door of that Europa Conference League. You know, there's been moments where we can beat Tottenham 3-0. And then we lose to Bournemouth 3-0 or we're very up and down. You know, we can score goals. We play good intensity, high press, good brand of football, but we've got to sort out that consistency. With a bit more bravery. Look at the statistics. We're not drawing enough games. Convert some of those defeats into draws, and find a way of winning some of those draws, and we'll get another 6 to 8 points on the board. That's where we need to get to. But if we get the Fulham that played against Arsenal, against Tottenham, Brighton, we could give Man City something to worry about. But knowing Fulham, we could beat Man City and then get thumped at Luton the following week. That's how inconsistent we are.
Have you got your players back for that game, Emilio? You got your players fit?
Yeah, touch wood, they're all fit. We've had a spell in the middle of the season. We had a lot of injuries in a thin squad, but they're all back fit, up and running. So yeah, if we can get up, on the day, we can hurt Man City. A bit like Forest. If they took their chances, it might have been a different outcome. And the same with us. If we don't fall behind and find a way of scoring early, I think we can get something out of the game. We had beginning of the season, we got thumped at their ground, but there was all that controversy with their goal at half time, which went to VAR, and they gave the goal to Man City. So they went up 2-1 at half time, different half time team talk. That had gone in 1-1. We probably still lost the game, but it would have been a different team talk, and who knows, a different outcome. So Brentford on Saturday, they're our arch rivals, so to speak, our West London derby, and they're safe. It'll be a good game of football. I think it'll be an open game. I suspect there'll be lots of goals in the game. You don't back your team. I don't think we'll win, but if we turn up the way we can turn up and hurt big teams, then why not? I hope they'll be up for it because it's their right rivals. We've got to give them something to repay after the defeat at home this season, and I think we can get something at Brentford on Saturday. But Man City, I don't want them to win the title, so I don't. If there's one game I want Fulham to win, it's probably the Man City one.
Come on, Emilio.
If I want Luton to stay up as a neutral, then I don't want us to give the game away. But
I do.
I think you've got a chance, Dave. I think you've got a chance. We're so inconsistent. Depends what team turns up on the day. But Man City, I think we can give something. And I want to take that smirk off Guardiola's face as well. That would make me very happy.
I'll tell you what, Steve, I will do this. If Fulham beat them, I'll wear a Fulham shirt. Honestly, I don't care. I'll be that shameless. I would not care, man. Honestly, I honestly just want to win this league so bad that if anyone can take anything off Man City, please, I beg.
The reality is, I can't see them dropping any more points. I think, but then look at the Tottenham game. Tottenham again depends what Tottenham turns up on the day. So Deji was talking.
It would be so Spursy, man. It would be so Spursy if they let us win the league. If Spursy take points off of Man City and let gift Arsenal the league, that would be beautiful.
What does Deji say? He should be here. What does he want to win that game, or does he want to give?
Deji will probably want to roll. Deji will probably want to roll over so Arsenal can't win the league. Knowing Deji, you know what I mean? Like Henry was on there earlier with me saying, "Oh, I want to lose 5-0 now. I want to lose 5-0 now." So yeah. Well, that's what
this
was
like. Deji was saying 3 months ago Tottenham was could still win the league. Do you remember that conversation? He was so good, Dave.
That's what he's like, mate. That's what they're all like. There's a bunch of them. Bless him. Listen, to close the show, we're going to do predictions.
I think we're either going to win, draw, or lose. That's the prediction.
I love that lad. I think that lad's brilliant.
It never gets old. It never gets old. It never gets old. It's just never gonna get old. Let's do it then, Dave Asprey. Let's start with you. What are you saying this weekend?
Sheffield United 1, Forest 2. Nervy, but if we can replicate much of what we did against City and add a finish. You know, Woody's been terrific this season. I know everything's been talked about Woody from last week, but I'd rather him get there and miss than not get there. And Chris has been fantastic for us this year in a relatively tough season, in a relatively poor side. So I've just got a feeling for Woody to sneak us the winner at the weekend, but it's not going to be easy at all. 2-1 Forest.
Interesting.
Never go brush your teeth, girl.
Luton, Dave, what are you saying for tomorrow night? Not Saturday, tomorrow night.
Well, what I'm saying about tomorrow night is I'm going to be taking advantage of any beer offer that's on at the stadium. I'm going to look through my rose-tinted glasses and hope that we can do another thing that we've beaten Everton twice at Goodison, 2-1. So I'm going to go 2-1 and hope that's the result. And I'm going to hope we get a couple of early goals so I can relax a bit. That's what I'm hoping
1-0.
for.
1-0 Luton. 1-0 Luton.
I'll take any positive result for us, which is a win. I don't care when we get the goal. If it's a 99th minute, it makes it even better. But I'm going to go 2-1, and hopefully we're 2-0 up at some point, and not 3 because that's a bogey score for us.
Yeah, it is.
Hopefully 2-1 Everton win. Is obviously a big Everton fan. Sorry, Davey, says the town. Listen, Luton, I so want Luton to try and do this, so they've got to try and take something. Emilio, what are you saying, bro?
Tough game, winnable but losable as well. They're at Brentford a bit hit and miss as well. So it depends what teams both turn up on the day. You've got to back your team, haven't you? So I think I'm saying 1-1, but there's something saying we've got to replay off that defeat at the beginning of the season. And I don't like Ivan Toney. I think none of us like Ivan Toney with his attitude and arrogance. And I'd like to turn him over and get a win there, but I think it's going to be tough. 1-1 for me, really.
Interesting. Rich, you got to beat Man United, man. Come on.
Surely. I'm going at least 2-1 to Palace.
Nice. I like that. I like that.
I just, with the press that Glasner's incorporating right now, and they can't play out the back, I think we'll do them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I am intrigued to see Wharton versus Manu. I think that'll be a lovely battle.
Yeah. Great shout.
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah, great shout. Two of the better players right now. That Manu was the only bloody positive
England combo.
Traffic, if I'm honest. I mean, wow, it's the only thing Man United got to shout home about this season. I've left the biggest game, of course, till last. No, I'm joking. Sam, come on in, hit me.
Honestly, 4-2 Arsenal. I think that'll be goals, but I think Arsenal will win it. Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll just take any win. I don't care at this stage of the season. I'm a bit like what Dave said, but the other respective, I am. Just give me 3 points. I don't care how we play. Just give me 1-0 last minute off of Kai Havertz like backside. I do not care. Just give me 3 points. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal though. I am, because I do think that we could be up for this. We have to be. But I think Bournemouth will score. We can't take many clean sheets at the Emirates either. I know that we've done very well this year in terms defensively and clean sheets and David Raya, etc. And our backline, but at the Emirates, it's not been that many actually in terms of clean sheets. So I think Bournemouth will score. Probably going to be Solanke. It seems he's the guy at the moment. But I'm going to go for a 3-1. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. I'm going to go and watch this Spurs-Chelsea game. This is actually quite a funny game, really, because I hate both clubs. It's one of those things we sit there and watch and just try to enjoy as best as we can. My thanks to all of you for watching. Please make sure you do me a favor and like this and subscribe. We're getting very close to 20k people, so please make sure that we hit the like button for that. So please make sure you're part of the community. Make sure you go follow Dave Asprey. Make sure you go follow Owen the Town podcast. Make sure you go follow Cottage Talk for Emilio's Fulham content. Make sure you're already following Eagle Eyed Football to follow Rich and Palace. And of course, Back of the Net podcast with Sam and all Bournemouth content as well. So please make sure you go do that, guys. Make sure you hit that now. I expect all of them to be telling me they're getting subscribers on their podcast. So please make sure that you're doing that. Nice one, people. We're out of here. Laters. Peace.